Hello, shelter greeters. This is Karen Azarki of Easel, and I want to first thank you so much for being a shelter greeter. You're our first face that people see when they come in, and I know you guys have all been doing a great job. What I've created here is a substitute for the manual volunteer and guest sign-ins. There'll be a new computer on the desk facing away from you, so the new guests that walk in or volunteers can come in and sign in. It's a better way for us to keep track of volunteer hours and get some emails from some guests. So the screen should look like this when you come in the morning, and you, of course, will be signing in as well. The first thing that you're going to do is enter yourself one time as a new volunteer. This isn't necessarily for someone who is new to easel, but someone who is new to this system. So that's the very first thing that we're going to do. So I'm going to register as a person who has not been on this system before. And I have to make up a name because I've already registered myself. So I'm going to be Debbie Small. I started in 2009. And I'll put my phone number and an email. I'll make that up. My home address. And I'm going to put in my emergency contact number, which is great because if someone's at the shelter or at an event and they get hurt, we can come here and get an emergency contact. So, all the redundant, we want to hear how we heard about easel. Okay, if I could spell. And then you want to create a password, and you can show the password to make sure that you typed exactly what you wanted. And I'm going to make my password hello. Now, I've created a sound for anybody who does any kind of save, because this computer will be facing away from you. You're going to be seeing the back. So you're not going to know whether or not someone actually finished entering their information. So I have a noise called ta-da, which tells you as they're saving that they actually did save the information. And so you heard that ta-da. If somebody is typing in here and they walk away from it and you don't hear the ta-da, then they did not save their information. So you only do this one time, and that gets all your information in there. Now let's say it's another day and I'm walking into the shelter as Debbie Small. I can select my name. Debbie Small. And I put in my password and I log in. I'm logged in as Debbie Small. Now what I'm going to do, and what we want the volunteer to do, is clock in. That means that this will put in the time, the current time, which right now is 8:30 at night. And then I want to know what their activity is, why they're in the shelter. Say that they're for cat options. If you find that people don't have something on here that corresponds with what they're doing, please call me and I will come in and I will add an activity. But this is what I think will work so far. So let's say they're doing cat adoptions. Then what they need to do is sign in. That's agreeing to the liability waiver, which is here. Have to click this little button, which a lot of people are going to forget to do. That means that they agree to this liability, which is the same thing that's on the manual sheets. Then they need to come and sign their name. And you'll see on the desk a square pad, it's called a mouse pad, and there'll be a pen attached. And if they just use the pen and position the arrow over the, all they have to do is hit the sign the liability waiver. They don't position over this. They hit sign liability waiver, they'll get a screen, and they can find their name. They're not the nicest looking names, but oh, I'm supposed to be Debbie Small. Okay, well, I'm going to be Karen Small. Okay, accept, and then you can save. Ta-da. Now, if they want to track their hours, they can clock out later on in the day. Most people don't need to clock out, but if you want to clock out, if you're in community service or you're a young child that is doing a high school service, clocking out, by just hitting the clock out will give them the time that they left, and then again, they save and close. They can look at their accounts or their history, or they can exit out if they want to. I don't see too many people looking at either of these two things. But if they want to, they can go to my account and they can change any information that they had put in previously. So you've seen new volunteer or first time looking at the system volunteer. So during the initial stages of this, everybody's going to have to come in as a new volunteer and enter in as a new volunteer. Then, as they work the system, they only have to be a returning volunteer. But let's say a guest comes in. All they have to do is click guest, and this way, it's much easier to read than I'm sure you've seen the other systems. So I'm going to put in our guest. Automatically, we have check marks as they want to receive our mails. And if they do that and enter in an email, we'll be sure and send them information. How did you hear about us? Again, if you find that this is not enough, let me know and I'll add to it. There is an other button. I'm just going to put in social media, which would mean Facebook. Now, a lot of times parents walk in with children. Instead of everybody signing their own liability waiver, put in their children's name. And her agreeing or his agreeing, which is you have to click over here again, same liability, and then signing will encapsulate the two children and give us a liability clearing on the children. If there is a husband, wife, children, one of them has to put their children in and the other one has to do their own guest registration. Everybody that walks in the door must sign in, whether it's a husband and wife or otherwise. Sign for go well as Rachel Stein. The pad will work nicer than this. And then if they just walk away from this, it's not saved. So you have to hear Ada. And that's it. It's a very simple system to use. Now, the other thing is, let's say this screen is not available. By the way, admin menu you won't have to use. But let's say you come in the morning and you had to reboot the system, the electricity went out, any kind of debugging here, you just hit N2. So let's say you have to reboot the system and this screen comes up. You just hit this version 0.7. You double click it. It's thinking. And it brings you into the system. You can leave this up after you leave because this should be up at all times. But that's the way to get back into it. If you have any questions or you have any suggestions to make this better, please let me know. If for some reason it just doesn't work, go back to the manual notebooks and please send me an email right away so I can come and fix the system. Again, thank you so much for being the shelter greeter, and I look forward to seeing all of you at some party or at some point. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.